I think if I had to summarize how our experience was, or how my personal experience was with the Amrani Group, it would be something along the lines of don't be afraid to step out of the comfort zone to be successful. And the Amrani Group can help you push past those boundaries with guidance. Is probably the most important part. They will do it with guidance. It's not just showing you a direction, but they'll help guide you the right way. My name is Mike Shorr. I'm the GM of the Americas, the business unit for DyeMansion North America. We are a global post-processing company within the polymer space of 3D printing. I've been with DyeMansion for almost 5 years, and in the first year or so, we had a very successful closing of the year, and then we started into the following year where there were, of course, economic downturns and other challenges. But one of the biggest issues we faced is that we were very much startup. We had a German parent company already, and we were the US entity with only a couple of people. There were only three of us at the time, myself as in applications, we had one sales and then one technician. So we still were trying to find our direction, really. And what was really starting to take place was that we were um, trying to understand what was the true lead time of the customers, how do we really cultivate them or develop them into becoming real customers, and understand not only that time, but a realistic forecast in the future. And we needed an expert. We needed someone who can help us understand how do we get from the European market, the customer base there, that lead time, that mentality, how do we actually make that successful here in the US when we don't have a full structure yet, right? We don't have a 10-year-old company or a multi-million-dollar company in the US alone that's fully organized and structured. We need some help in organization. How do we get there? So we had a first few interviews with Joshua, and from my side, I challenged him quite a bit because it's also an area that I'm not comfortable with. I don't know it very well. So I challenged him because if I'm going to bring someone in who can help, I need to make sure I can trust them, because I'm going to have to put everything I have into them because I don't have the tool set and my own ability to get us there. So it was a really unique and challenging experience for my own self. It got me way out of my comfort zone, to ask questions that I hadn't thought about really, or I frankly didn't know the right answers either when I was asking the question. So it was about the confidence that was given to me by the answers that made me start to understand that this may be the right path. We were up against it. We were up against the wall in a very difficult time, and it was either I had to immediately learn everything there was about sales on my own, or we needed to bring in someone who was extraordinarily better and could help educate and drive it alongside of me. And that's exactly what we chose. So I started asking questions on a little bit more of a personal basis to understand who he was as a person. Because to me, that means just as much as anything, if not more. And I could start to understand how did he approach himself in his own personal world? How did he relate that to the business world? And I could tell immediately that the amount of care and energy put into individual projects was enormous. And then, of course, having that drive and emotional passion as a leader, his team would follow suit. And if he's the one handpicking those people, I know he's going to do it with purpose. When I started to realize when the Amrani Group was there to help us and work through us and training us, there were so many things that were just above my level of understanding of, when we first sat down and went through our entire Salesforce data pile, and they filled in all the information, and I watched it kind of happening right in front of me of, I'm just talking about what I know the industry is doing, but they're putting it in the places. And from there, we created the pipeline. And then from there, we created what's real, what's not real, and how do we tackle it. And that was really interesting to see how it started to create this own waterfall approach. And that was just step one. For me, the real expertise came when we got past those points, we wanted to actually go after the deals and start closing the deals. And that's when I started to see the brain switch on the Amrani Group of, okay, this is this customer, we need to approach them this way. And I would go into a call with my understanding of what I think the call is about. And then I would get into the call, and before the call, we'd have a prep call, which we never had done before. And we would come into it, and the Amrani Group had come in fully prepared of, they knew every technical and financial driven factor of the company we were about to have a phone call with, large or small. They knew about the people we were talking to and their particular backgrounds and what might get them to answer different questions or tick. And that's really what helped define the reality of deals and help turn them quicker or turn them into something larger than they might have started out as. Before we brought in the Amrani Group, we were kind of in this interesting pickle where most of our marketing efforts and things were driven by our German entity. So they're focused out of a European mindset. Even though for sure we were marketing and doing efforts on the US side, the Amrani Group helped us actually create campaigns specific within our market that were independent of the German side, or the rest of the globe efforts. And it really started to get us into a much more focused mentality as a company of, this is a different animal, really. It's the European customer is a very different customer than the America's customer. So the Amrani Group helped us identify what became important for our customers here and how to market against that and target to it. So those are really important things that really shaped who we are today, a few years later at this point. And we still now create those marketing campaigns that are very specific to our US entity, and to our specific customer base. A lot of our metrics within Salesforce and the way that we gain data and transfer that data is still the same as what we learned through TAG. And what's also really important is that the turning point of where we are as an industry, getting into this chasm, as if you will, trying to cross that chasm, the type of sales representatives that we need are different than the ones that we needed 3 years ago. And that's a really important lesson that we learned through TAG, of that development of not just our customers, but our development of our organization, of our team. How do we grow and change that? My own role has shifted a few times in the last couple of years, and our team has morphed and changed. And all of that is because of the efforts that were in place by TAG and helped us understand our customers, but ourselves. Yeah, I would definitely recommend going through an experience like we did and working through the Amrani Group. I think one of the most important learning lessons that I did in the very beginning of does this make sense is challenge Josh and his team. Challenge them before you do it, because you have to trust in them. And that was how I gained my trust in them, is that I challenged them in questions that I didn't feel comfortable with. And they were able to provide that comfort back. And I understood that they knew more in the right ways than I could have ever approached. And if I didn't challenge myself to go out of that comfort zone and ask those types of questions, I don't think we would have done it, because I don't think we would have been fully confident. So that's an important point of not just get out of your comfort zone, but challenge the group of the Amrani Group, because they likely can answer it in a very structured way and give you confidence.